Bradley Bozeman, I hope you're doing well, sir. Welcome into the game in Tuscaloosa.
How you doing?
Man, I'm good. I'm good. I hope you are too, man. What's it like to go see the President of the United States and be able to hang out up there?
Hey, man, it was awesome. Got to go into the Oval Office, got to see the Roosevelt Room, got to talk to President Trump. You know, it was really, really cool. It was a good experience, and I'm so glad we were able to do that.
What did you say to him? I mean, what was the kind of the words, if you can share it with us?
Mostly, yes, sir.
Okay. Okay.
It was just casual conversation, talking about golf, he asked, he came out with during the speech and was talking about mine and Nikki's engagement. And, look back at me and he goes, "Y'all still are together, right?" I was like, "Yes, sir, luckily." So,
sure. But talk about, and I think, you've been up there to the White House before to be recognized, but this time you're a captain of the national champs, the Alabama Crimson Tide. I mean, talk about that moment. I mean, because you go up against some of the nastiest defensive linemen in all of college football. Then you get a chance to hang out with the president, all those, politicians, everything. Is it a nervous type feeling or no, not really?
I mean, I was probably more nervous for that than a lot of our ball games this year.
Okay. Well, see, I would be too. I mean, I would be like, hold on a minute. I mean, I'm kind of a cool moment, but so what else did you guys do? You guys go to Washington, D.C., and did they give you tours of the Capitol? I mean, what else do you get when you go to Washington, D.C. to be saluted?
So we went to the White House, got to go through the Rose Garden, saw a bunch of the dining room, a lot of the rooms we saw in 2016. And it was still really cool, even though I've seen it before. There's just things that you didn't see last time that you get to see this time. And, we just visited the White House. And because it's just such a tight timeline for them, because they're in spring ball, they're in, have meetings and all that other stuff. So really didn't get to do anything other than that. But, hey, I had a ball while I was there.
I can only imagine, but obviously we saw the photos yesterday. Let me ask you about the really cool moment that J.K. Scott and you and a lot of your other teammates gathered around the president and had a moment of prayer. Can you share that, kind of how that sort of went about?
Yeah, so everybody, President Trump was just talking to everyone and taking selfies and, I mean, just hanging out, and then J.K. came over and asked if it was okay if he could pray for him and his staff. So J.K. led the prayer, and it was a really, really awesome moment. It was, I don't even know, like it was just, I was so glad I was able to be a part of that.
Yeah, and as I texted you earlier, I told you, because as often as we're supposed to pray for our leaders, but J.K. Scott and the example that you guys put there, it's a big reminder that I hadn't been really doing that too much. I'm kind of guilty. I go, those lay me down to Jesus type prayers, but I was like, man, just an inspiration to be able to see that and what you guys are. I mean, it was inspiring to watch you guys do that. It was probably one of the coolest moments that I've seen in a long, long time.
Yeah, it was really awesome. I'm so glad to be a part of it.
Bradley, let me walk to this offensive line here just for a couple of minutes. The transitions, how hard is it right now? We're watching a lot of shuffles during the spring practice and a lot of different positions. How hard is it to build chemistry when you're moving at different guys to make sure you're finding the best 5 offensive linemen to put on that football field? How hard is it to not build that team chemistry and then go out and perform at a high level?
I think really it's building chemistry with the people that are going to play, people that you can trust, people that that are going to go out there and do what they need to do, regardless of who you're playing next to. I think that's something we did a really good job with last year. Is we had a lot of rotations, a lot of injuries, and so on and so forth. But we all trusted the guy that was coming in, and so I think that's a really big part of it, is being able to trust the guy that's coming in beside you, regardless if he's a freshman or if he's a guy that just hasn't quite been able to get that spot. And then, of course, there's the actual playing part. But once you know your assignment and everyone's on the same page, that part comes pretty easy.
Bradley, let me ask you about Ross Pierce-Baker just for a couple of minutes, because let's go back prior to you getting swapped in that center position, he worked at center. And I think if I recall right, about 10 days, they rotated you back into that center spot. So he's got a lot of experience, even though you've been kind of the anchor on that offensive line. Talk about what Ross Piercebaker brings to that O-line.
Ross, I mean, he has tons of experience. He's a leader. Ross is just an all-around great football player. There's not enough things good to say about Ross. You could go on and on, but he does a great job leading that offensive line, and he really brings a lot to the table. They're really lucky that they got him back this year, and I think he'll end up being one of the captains this year if I had to guess.
So you look at Ross for just a couple of minutes. Obviously, you look at Jonah Williams. I mean, we could sit here and name 15 guys. But what's a competition like when you talk about, there's only 5 spots, and when you probably need 7, 8 offensive linemen because you're going to have some injuries, going to have some guys rotate through. But what's it like going toe to toe and competing for that playing time, that number 1 spot? Because you've been on some battles where you were not in that first string, but you've been on some battles that you've been the first string. What's that competition like when you're going up against your brother, your friend, your guy that you obviously hang out with, but you're competing on a daily basis in practice?
It's extremely high. That's what you're there for. You're there to compete. You're there to win the starting job. But at the same time, you can't be selfish in the fact that, say I'm going against Joe Blow or whoever, and he doesn't know, so he's struggling with something, but I'm good at it, but he's not. And I don't go to him and help him try to figure out what's going on or how to correct it. That's not being a good teammate. You have to compete at a high level and just compete your butt off and just be the best player you can be. And at the end of it, if you're the starter, you're the starter. If not, you did everything that you could to get the spot. So
let me ask you, when you look at Juran Payne, how did he change you as a player going up against him pretty much daily in practice?
There was some battles there. I mean, that guy is something special. He's got the whole package, and he's really good at what he does. Going against a guy like that, it was really great for me because iron sharpens iron, and I was very lucky to have a guy like Juran and Dalvin Tomlinson and Jonathan Allen, you name it, that were there to compete with and to sharpen me. I was really, really lucky in that fact. So, having a guy like Juran is great for a team. I mean, not just for the defense side of the ball, but for the offense as well, because the offense has to compete against them every day.
Bradley, I've been watching your anti-bullying campaign, and I want to spend some time thinking about that, but I want to talk about really to go back to the root of this, because Nick Saban sets the example here in Tuscaloosa, and I'm sure it's somebody that, he gives back so much to the community. It is, when you look at what he's able to do, I think he's built 17 houses or building 17th house here in Tuscaloosa. He's a big part of charity. He's given back to the community. When you look at designing this campaign that you have now taken across the state and doing different school speakings, and we're going to talk about that, but where did the inspiration come from? I mean, that you said, hey, I'm going to give back to the community. Was that part of what Nick Saban does? Or, I mean, where did you kind of get the responsibility that, hey, I need to take up on this challenge?
Well, I mean, I have a pretty big platform. God's given me a huge platform to work with, and I think I need to use that in a positive way. Just sitting around twiddling my thumbs isn't going to change the world, So Rachel Barbeau came to me one day with, I can't even believe, and she sent me the text messages that went back and forth between the bully and the bully and the bullied. And there was some really just bad stuff in there. It was something that was out of a movie or something. And she asked me to do a little video, and I told her, let's just go down there and talk to him. It was in Pell City, so went down there and talked to him, and it just was eye-opening. Just the need that this campaign needs to fill. And across the nation, like people that want to join up with me or other organizations like it. It really opened my eyes. The kids started talking and telling their stories, and it was just some ruthless stuff that was being said to these kids. I mean, just young kids 4th, 5th grade. And, you know, somebody needs to say something. Somebody needs to give these kids a voice that are getting bullied. And we're trying to do that. You know, it's just been so great. And I'm so glad to have the opportunity to be able to do it.
Bradley, what do you do when you go into these schools? Do you share your personal story? Help us understand what you communicate to these kids.
So I tell them my personal story. So I was bullied when I was a kid. I wasn't always 6'5", 305 pounds. You know, I started off a little chubby, little fat kid. So I looked like Augustus Gloop and with Charlie in the Chocolate Factory. So I just tell them my story, just how I was bullied, and then go into telling them that, you know, you don't know everyone's home story. You don't know their back life. You know them from the hours of 8 to 3. That's all you really have in common with them. And, you know, you don't know what they have at home. You don't know what they're going through at home. And to pile on top of that and be a negative factor on top of a life that isn't so fair, is just really, you know, it's just a disaster waiting to happen. I mean, y'all seen the shootings in Florida and the school shootings across the nation. And plus there's, I think, 4,400 kids a year that commit suicide because of depression, because of bullying. That's a huge number. And our youth feels that they don't have a place in this world, and the only way to fix that problem is to end their life. And that, I don't know about y'all, but that tugs at my heart pretty hard. So I'm just happy that I have the opportunity to be able to do this and to give those kids a voice.
What was the number again as far as suicide? Give me that stat one more time.
4,400 a year on average.
Wow. What has the reception been like from the educators, the teachers, the principals? Because I watch you on Twitter, and it seems like there's almost as much of a demand. Maybe Bradley Bozeman cannot be everywhere, but certainly you can make an impact. It's been kind of unique to see that reception.
Yeah. The teachers, they always come to me and they're so grateful that someone's saying something. A lot of it goes overlooked, a lot of bullying, because there's a lot of emotional bullying, like just words, not actual physical, what do you think would be bullying. But, you know, bullying goes farther than just physical. It's emotional, it's mental, it's all across the board. And now with Snapchat and text messaging and Facebook, Instagram, you name it, all the social media sites, that stuff happens constantly to some kids. You know, they don't. It doesn't just happen from 8 to 5 and they go home and go to sleep. Like, it happens from 24/7. I mean, it's everywhere. So I mean, even if this campaign just reaches one child, I mean, that's thinking about suicide, or that, you know, having a rough time, or a kid that's being a bully that changes his mind and sees his wrongs, it'll be totally worth it.
Bradley, let me ask you, when you look at, this is a very important time for you. And let me just salute you here just for a couple of minutes. Obviously, you're working for the NFL draft that's coming up in 2 weeks, the NFL draft. And you have been able to work in time to go, let me go start a campaign, because I have a platform that I can make a difference. I mean, if an NFL team is looking at that, they have to be like, hey, I want to build a team around this guy. I want this guy to be a part of my locker room. I mean, that has to be received out there positively, that you're in a crucial moment in your life working for the NFL, and you've been able to work in time to start a campaign across the state.
Right. I mean, there's always room for more. You know, there's always room for one more rep, or one more activity, or one more something. You know, God's going to handle it. You know, he's gonna help me through it, and he's gonna, you know, show me the way. But I know I'm going to have to put the work in to get to that point. So, you know, he's never going to put anything on your plate that you can't handle. And I truly believe that. He's always been there for me. He's never let me down. Even during a disaster, what looks like to be a disaster is really a blessing. So, you know, just this opportunity to that presented itself, I wanted to jump on it. And you know, I'm really glad I did, because I mean, I hope it's not only changing the kids' lives, it's changing mine too.
Bradley, how can we help? How can we get behind this effort?
Just spread the word. I mean, and anyone that wants to get on board, any athlete, anybody with any kind of platform, or anybody that just feels strongly about this, we're welcome to jump on board. We're going to start back again next February or sometime around there, and that hasn't all been decided yet, but I know for sure that it will kick back off next season. So next off season. So anybody that has any thoughts or whatever it is, any kind of insight would be greatly appreciated. We're just trying to spread the word and make this known, make it that it's bullying's not overlooked, and it's not just kids being kids. It's a problem. I feel like it's a national problem.
Bradley, I've got Levi Wallace coming up in just a couple of minutes. What an inspiration he is. He had to be in that locker room to go through some situations that he went through. What a teammate. What an inspiration Levi Wallace was inside that locker room.
Right. I mean, Levi worked his way from the bottom. There's not enough praise for Levi. He's been through a lot, and he deserves everything that is coming his way right now. He's been a blessing to my life, to our football team, to everyone. So just, we're very blessed to have him part of our team.
Hey, Bradley, big salute to you, man. I'm happy for you. The chance yesterday to go to Washington, D.C. I'm happy to see you guys have a lot of success and what you're doing in the anti-bullying campaign, the NFL draft. We're pulling for you. All of us in Tuscaloosa, certainly thinking about all the Alabama guys going to be going through a pretty unique process within a couple of weeks. Enjoy and embrace the moment. Thank you again for being a part of the show. And this is not just talk. A big salute to you for what you're doing, because I feel like that you're making a difference. And even in this 17-minute conversation, you've opened my eyes to something that I didn't even realize that was that big of a problem. But if I can ever help you out in Tuscaloosa, please don't hesitate to ask, because we can help you get the word out, whatever. If we need to find sponsors to get you behind this campaign, I think it's pretty awesome what you're doing.
Well, I really appreciate that.
Thank you, Bradley.
Really do. Thank y'all for having me.